These days, people have become softer than a baby's nose because torture for a mortal would be their phone getting taken away, not being able to go to a party, or God forbid, touching grass. But back in the day, way back in this timeline of zaniness, there were people in this world who experienced torture with methods that were more complex than figuring out why the white crayon still exists. And today I want to talk to you about one of the scariest torture methods out there, the Judas Cradle. Now back in the 16th century, there was this group called the Spanish Inquisition, and these guys were like the Paw Patrol, but instead of puppies, they were raging bulldogs. They were boinked out because the Inquisition's responsibility is to limit and eliminate any sort of heresy. Heresy is when people go against already established or accepted teachings of a certain belief system or religion. For example, if it's an established belief that the earth goes around the sun or that you don't need shampoo to wash the junk out of your hair, but you'll go against that belief, then that would be heresy and people would be punished for that. And one of those punishments would be through torture. And that torture was through this thing, this absolute monstrosity of a bar stool that only the gunkiest of criminals and naysayers would succumb to, and its name was the Judas Cradle. And they would also use this for people to confess to crimes as well, but anyways, this roller coaster operated on a wooden or metal-like pyramid structure, and the top part is where victims would sit, get cozy, and scream. And on top of that, this device would also have their hands and feet tied up to make sure that they don't sonic spin dash out of here. Now you probably know what happens next, but trust me sports fans, you don't. Because like the MCU, there are phases to this universe, and they get intense every single time. So the torture method usually begins with the torturer slowly lowering the victim to the pyramid, and the pointy top is inserted into either their bumhole or for women, their wee-wee. And this obviously causes absolute glass-shattering pain. And this could last for not minutes, but for hours to ensure it could cause permanent damage. But sometimes these victims stayed silent. They didn't want to confess to anything, and their lip smackers were stapled shut. But torturers didn't care, because if they didn't speak, they were going to face phase 2, which wasn't slowly putting the victim on the seat, but shaking the cradle further into their body and dropping them up and down like a hammer to hurt them even more. And to add even more sugar to this candy, torturers would add weights to impale the victims further to ensure that they die if they didn't get the information or confession that they wanted. Now, people surviving John Wick's massage chair is very unlikely, because the torture was obviously so bad that nobody would survive the torture. They would all die. But that's not to say that there haven't been a few people who did somehow survive this pain. But that doesn't mean that they would survive for long, because anyone who completed this geometry dash level was never given any medical attention. All the wounds that they received would never be taken care of, and as a result, they would succumb to numerous infections in the prisons, which obviously meant that they would die naturally. And because of this method, this helped the medieval land essentially get rid of anyone who was opposed to Catholicism, and made sure that the place was even more and more conservative. Now, in terms of why they got rid of this torture method as time went on, the answer should be a little bit more obvious than the plot of a sports movie, and it's that the Judas Cradle was just super inhumane, and law has advanced a poopy ton, because as time went on, they were able to fish out lives from criminals easier and just chuck them in jail without any need for a Lego piece going up in their deep hurricane. But yeah, that's it. Bye.